Well, it's still getting messier and messier in the It Ends With Us feud between co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Putting these handcuffs over his head while he's driving, and he was just whipping backwards as I was reaching forward, and pow! First black eye I've ever had in my life.
All right, let's dive into the Hollywood drama that's got everyone talking. Imagine this. Two of the biggest names in industry, Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds, sharing the screen in a high-stakes thriller. Sounds like a dream team, right? Well, not exactly. What started as a professional collaboration has turned into one of the most awkward dynamics we've seen in Hollywood. And trust us, the tension between these two is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Ryan and his wife, Blake Lively, and their recent struggles to hold on to their A-list glow.
I remember they called cut, and I looked back and, oh man, he had a shiner this big, and I just thought, well, this is the end of me. This is the moment that Denzel Washington turns me into a liquid.
Here's the tea. Back in 2012, Ryan Reynolds was absolutely starstruck when he got the chance to work with Denzel Washington on the action-packed movie Safe House. Ryan was over the moon, calling Denzel a legend and saying it was a dream come true to even be in the same room as him. You'd think this mutual admiration would lead to a beautiful bromance, but Denzel had other plans. Let's just say the veteran star wasn't exactly showering Ryan with compliments. Oh no, Denzel didn't hold back when it came to throwing some major shade at his younger co-star. The moment that really got everyone buzzing was during an appearance on the Jonathan Ross show. Denzel was asked about working with Ryan, and instead of the usual Hollywood fluff about what an honor it was and how talented he is, Denzel hit him with a zinger that left the room and the internet speechless. He joked that Ryan was so busy watching him act that he forgot to act himself. I just thought he was terrible, Denzel quipped with a monotone delivery that made it impossible to tell if he was joking or serious. Tom Hardy, who was also a guest on the show, nearly spit out his drink. The audience, stunned. And Ryan's, stunned. And Ryan, well, let's just say he probably felt that one all the way in Canada.
And I'm shipped back in a, flagon or something, so I was pretty worried about that. But he took it in stride, and we kept shooting, shockingly, and we got the day. But
now, if this was just a one-off comment, maybe we could laugh it off as Denzel's dry sense of humor. But the thing is, this wasn't an isolated moment. There's a pattern here, and it's not looking great for Ryan. In another interview, Denzel was asked about his experience working with Ryan on Safe House, and instead of giving the usual polite response, he just paused. That's right, he sat there in silence, smiling awkwardly, as if he couldn't even bring himself to fake a compliment. It was so uncomfortable that you could practically feel the secondhand embarrassment through the screen. When Denzel finally did speak, it was vague and non-committal. No glowing praise, no he's a joy to work with nonsense, just an awkward change of subject.
I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaint, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint.
And let's not forget the infamous black eye incident. Oh, you haven't heard about that? Well, buckle up because this one's wild. While filming Safe House, there was a scene where Ryan accidentally gave Denzel not one, but 2 black eyes. Yep, you heard that right. During a chaotic fight scene in a car, Ryan's head collided with Denzel's face, twice. Ryan later joked about how he was sure his career was over in that moment, saying he thought Denzel was going to turn him into a liquid. Denzel, ever the professional, brushed it off and kept going, but let's be real. How do you recover from punching one of the most respected actors in Hollywood? Spoiler alert, you don't. Ryan, to his credit, has always been vocal about how much he admires Denzel. He's gushed in interviews about how working with him was a masterclass in acting, how inspiring it was to see Denzel's passion and discipline up close. But here's the kicker. That admiration seems to be one-sided. Io Denzel's lukewarm responses and biting humor suggest he doesn't share the same warm and fuzzy feelings about Ryan. And honestly, can you blame him? Between the black eyes and Ryan's over-the-top fanboying, it's possible Denzel just found the whole experience exhausting.
Literally, I'm just asking the question, how are women allowed to do this, to take something and to make it sound like you survived a rape? Because that's what it sounded like to the public.
But here's where things get even messier. Ryan's not the only one in his household dealing with some serious Hollywood shade. Blake Lively, the other half of this so-called power couple, has found herself at the center of her own controversies, and let's just say it's not doing their brand any favors. While Ryan is out here getting roasted by Denzel and dismissed by other Hollywood heavyweights like Quentin Tarantino, Blake is facing backlash that could derail her career entirely.
We can now all agree that the moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason.
Blake's recent legal battle with her, It Ends With Us co-star and director Justin Baldoni, has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. She's accused him of creating a toxic work environment and claims he improvised moments on set that made her deeply uncomfortable. On the flip side, Baldoni has fired back with his own accusations, alleging that Blake and Ryan used their influence to sabotage his reputation. The whole situation is a mess, and the public isn't exactly rallying behind Blake. In fact, some people are calling her out for being difficult to work with, which is a label no actor in Hollywood wants.
I have got some major scoops. I mean, everybody's talking because the sink is shipping and people want to get onto lifeboats. So let's jump right in. Welcome back to Candace.
And it's not just the lawsuit that's tarnishing Blake's reputation. She's been struggling to maintain her fashion icon status, which has always been a big part of her appeal. Remember when she used to dominate every red carpet she stepped on? Well, those days seem to be over. At a recent Bulgaria event, Blake was practically invisible next to Zendaya and Anne Hathaway, who completely stole the spotlight. It was a far cry from her Gossip Girl glory days, when she was the undisputed queen of style. And speaking of Gossip Girl, that brings us to another sore spot for Blake, her complicated history with former co-star Leighton Meester.
So I'm just going to very quickly, before I give you all of the tea that I got over the weekend, I'm going to go over the biggest revelations from the filing.
Rumors of tension between Blake and Leighton have been swirling for years. While their on-screen chemistry as Serena and Blair was undeniable, insiders say the two barely spoke off camera. When Gossip Girl celebrated its 10-year anniversary, the cast came together to reminisce, but Blake and Leighton's frosty relationship was impossible to ignore. Some fans have even speculated that Leighton's post-Gossip Girl success, she's happily married, making music, and thriving in her low-key lifestyle, has only highlighted Blake's recent struggles to stay relevant. And let's not overlook Blake's social media missteps. She's been accused of trying too hard to stay in the spotlight, whether it's through cringy Instagram posts or poorly timed jokes that backfire spectacularly. One memorable example, her attempt to piggyback off a viral Photoshop controversy involving Kate Middleton. Instead of reading the room, Blake used the moment to promote her brand, and let's just say it didn't go over well. The backlash was swift, and she quietly deleted the post, but the damage was already done.
Genuinely, Steph, if you're watching this, I genuinely don't like Blake Lively. Like, I genuinely know. I've known she's a brat. Nobody's paying me to say this.
So, where does this leave Hollywood's golden couple? Ryan and Blake have always presented themselves as the ultimate couple goals, but the cracks in their facade are becoming harder to ignore. Between Denzel's brutal takedowns, Quentin Tarantino's dismissive comments about Ryan's films, and Blake's mounting controversies, it's clear that their A-list status is under threat. The industry seems to be keeping them at arm's length, and even their fans are starting to question whether they're as perfect as they seem.
No one's told me to say this. I think people really didn't like her during those premiere things, and there was no plot against you, okay? Come down from your high horse.
But here's the thing. Hollywood loves a good redemption arc. Could Ryan and Blake bounce back from all this drama? Or are we witnessing the slow downfall of one of Tinseltown's most beloved couples? And what about Denzel? Was his roast just harmless banter, or does it point to a deeper issue with how Ryan is perceived in the industry? These are the questions everyone's asking, and the answers might just redefine their careers.
And one of the most significant allegations in Baldoni's lawsuit is that Lively sought to gain control over the editing process of the film. This is important.
So, where were we? Oh, right. Hollywood's golden couple, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, are facing what could be the most challenging chapter of their careers. The cracks in their picture-perfect facade are growing deeper by the day, and the drama doesn't stop at published shade from industry icons like Denzel Washington or the awkward whispers circling their reputations. Nope, we're diving headfirst into the legal chaos that's threatening to shake their entire brand. If you thought the behind-the-scenes tension between Ryan and Denzel was juicy, just wait until you hear about the legal storm brewing around Blake. This isn't just a case of bad press. It's a full-blown scandal that could send shockwaves through Hollywood.
Now you have two sides here, right? So Baldoni says this was all an effort to hijack the film to get her way. Lively claims she was the victim of harassment in a hostile work environment.
Let's start with the lawsuit that's got everyone talking. In December 2024, Blake Lively dropped a bombshell, filing a legal complaint against her ends with US co-star and director Justin Baldoni. The allegations were serious. She accused him of creating a hostile work environment during filming and claimed he engaged in behavior that made her deeply uncomfortable. But that's just the beginning. Blake didn't stop at calling out Baldoni's alleged actions. She also claimed that after the movie wrapped, Baldoni and his team launched an orchestrated smear campaign against her. Yep, you heard that right. According to Blake, they were determined to ruin her reputation in the industry and make her the villain of the story. And make her the villain of the story. And let's be real, when the headlines are full of phrases like toxic environment and smear campaign, it's hard to bounce back unscathed.
Lively's team has denied all of these allegations. They have responded to this filing, this lawsuit.
What makes this even messier is that Baldoni didn't take these accusations lying down. Oh no? He clapped back with a countersuit of his own, targeting not just Blake, but also Ryan Reynolds and their longtime publicist Leslie Sloan. Baldoni accused them of defamation and even claimed they had orchestrated their own campaign to destroy his career. He's seeking a jaw-dropping sum in damages, and the whole thing has turned into a legal tug-of-war that's as dramatic as any Hollywood script. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about two actors hashing out their differences in court. The legal battle has pulled in some major players, including Taylor Swift. Yes, you heard that right. Taylor Swift is now caught in the middle of this mess. She's been subpoenaed to give testimony, and insiders say she's not exactly thrilled about being dragged into the drama. Taylor and Blake have been close friends for years. She's even the godmother to Blake and Ryan's children, but sources suggest their friendship has hit a rocky patch thanks to all the bad press surrounding this case. And honestly, can you blame her? When you're one of the biggest stars in the world, the last thing you want is to get tangled up in someone else's legal nightmare.
Most of his career, he has been a major proponent of feminism, of healthy masculinity. How does it feel for him, though?
But Taylor's involvement goes deeper than just her connection to Blake. According to insiders, Baldoni's legal team is prepared to subpoena text messages and emails that allegedly show Taylor weighing in on the creative direction of the film. While it's unclear whether Taylor was officially consulted or merely giving friendly advice, these alleged communications could raise questions about just how involved she was in the project. Some fans are speculating that this could put Taylor in a tricky position, as her carefully managed public image has always revolved around staying above Hollywood drama. Adding fuel to the fire, Baldoni's team is reportedly considering whether to argue that Taylor's influence indirectly supported Blake's controversial decisions on set, making her role in the situation even more complicated.
Shutting down a woman's claims.
She is claiming that there was harassment. He's saying none of it is true, never happened, never did.
And let's not forget the ripple effect this could have on Taylor's broader circle. Hollywood is a small world, and many of Blake and Ryan's celebrity friends, some of whom overlap with Taylor's, are rumored to be distancing themselves from the couple amid the ongoing drama. High-profile A-listers like Anne Hathaway and Zendaya, who have been seen mingling in the same social circles, have notably avoided public comments about the lawsuit. While this could just be standard Hollywood politeness, it raises the question of whether Blake and Ryan's troubles are starting to make them persona non grata in certain elite circles. For Taylor, who thrives on her tightly knit friendships and alliances, being pulled into this mess might force her to make some uncomfortable choices about loyalty versus reputation. So, what's the deal with Taylor's involvement? Well, according to Baldoni's legal team, Taylor played a role in backing Blake's creative decisions for the film. Apparently, Blake made some last-minute rewrites to the script, rewrites that Baldoni wasn't exactly thrilled about. In one alleged text message that's now part of the court filings, Blake compared herself to a certain dragon riding queen from Game of Thrones, saying that she had dragons like Taylor and Ryan to back her up. It's the kind of over-the-top statement that sounds like it came straight out of a TV drama. But it's real, or at least that's what Baldoni's team claims.
So remember that what Taylor had told Justin was that Blake herself, she said, was Khaleesi, who was the queen in Game of Thrones, and Ryan, her husband, and Taylor were her dragons. Her best friend, although I think best friend is now past tense.
And speaking of text messages, let's talk about the mountain of evidence both sides are throwing at each other. Baldoni's lawyers say they have hundreds of texts and emails that paint Blake and her team in a bad light, while Blake's legal team insists they have proof of Baldoni's alleged misconduct on set. It's a classic case of he said, she said, but with a list, celebrities, and millions of currency units on the line. One thing's for sure, this trial is going to be a spectacle, and the fallout could be career-ending for someone. But let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. What does all of this mean for Blake and Ryan's status in Hollywood? For years, they've been the ultimate power couple, effortlessly balancing blockbuster films, high-profile endorsements, and their carefully curated image as relatable, down-to-earth parents. But lately, that image has been taking a hit. The lawsuit has cast a shadow over Blake's career, and Ryan's involvement, whether he likes it or not, has dragged him into the drama as well.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are seeking to dismiss Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against them.
And it's not just the legal issues that are raising eyebrows. Industry insiders are starting to question whether Blake and Ryan have lost their magic touch when it comes to choosing projects. Blake's upcoming film choices have been met with lukewarm reactions, and the backlash to her role in It Ends With Us has been brutal. Fans were quick to point out that Blake, who's in her mid-30s, seemed like an odd choice to play a character who's supposed to be fresh out of college. And don't even get us started on that orange wig. The leaked behind-the-scenes photos sparked a wave of memes and online criticism, with some saying she looked more like a fast food mascot than a leading lady. Ouch.
Okay, so for those of you, just a quick two-liner for those of you not following it. They starred in this movie, It Ends With Us, about domestic violence. It was his movie that he bought the rights for from the woman who wrote the book, Colleen Hoover. Then he managed to convince Blake Lively to star in it with him. And all hell broke loose.
As for Ryan, his reputation as Hollywood's go-to-funny guy might not be enough to shield him from the fallout. Sure, Deadpool is still a massive hit, but outside of that franchise, his recent projects haven't exactly been critical darlings. And let's not forget the whispers about his demanding behavior on set. Directors like Tim Miller, who worked with Ryan on the first Deadpool film, have hinted at creative clashes that make Ryan sound less like the charming jokester we see in interviews and more like someone who's difficult to collaborate with. The question now is whether Hollywood is starting to turn its back on this once beloved duo. It's no secret that the industry is quick to distance itself from controversy, and with so many big names like Denzel, Washington, and Quentin Tarantino seemingly unimpressed by Ryan, it's hard not to wonder if the couple's star power is fading. Add to that the fact that Blake's legal battle is set to drag on until at least 2026, and you've got a recipe for some serious career turbulence.
2009 Glamour UK interview by Blake Lively. She was on the cover at the time, and in her interview, she admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name, against her co-star Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey, on the show. She said, "At first I was so upset that they had hired him, I actually poisoned the whole cast against him."
But here's the thing. Hollywood loves a comeback story. If anyone can weather the storm, it's probably Blake and Ryan. They've built their brand on being relatable, self-aware, and unafraid to laugh at themselves, and that kind of authenticity could be their saving grace. The real question is whether they can rebuild their reputation before the industry moves on to the next big thing. Because, let's face it, in Hollywood, you're only as relevant as your last hit. So, what happens next? Will Blake and Ryan manage to bounce back from this mess? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end for one of Hollywood's most iconic couples? And what about Taylor Swift? Will her involvement in the lawsuit strain her relationships with Blake and Ryan? Or will she manage to stay above the fray? One thing's for sure. This story is far from over, and the next chapter is bound to be just as dramatic as the last. Stay tuned, because the twists and turns are just getting started. As the drama continues to unfold, it's clear that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are facing one of the toughest challenges of their careers. The tension with Denzel Washington, the legal battles, and the mounting controversies are all casting a shadow over their once shining image. But the real question is, can they bounce back from this, or is this the beginning of the end for Hollywood's golden couple? And what about Taylor Swift's involvement? Will it strain her friendship with Blake and Ryan, or will she emerge unscathed? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know what you think the future holds for these A-list stars. Until next time, stay tuned for more celebrity gossip and drama.